finished because of the dental issues. I really don't know how to define a Manab. We are very close friends for 5 decades and a few years. And normally, friends are taken for granted. We don't look for shades of characters in the friends, and we are always happy that they are friends. We are very close. In fact, my mother, my other family members, my brothers, everyone, and even my extended family, everyone knows Manab and very proud of Manab. I can hear some sound. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, you are clear.
Okay. I'm hearing some sound in the background, I guess. Okay. As I said, Manab and I are very close, and the need was most of the time from my end. He's always an emotional support for me, and always just one phone call away. I mean, that is one definition of Manab, that how much value he gives to friendship, how much value he assigns. In last 50 years, I don't remember a single time when I called him and he didn't pick up the call. Even if he was very busy, he will pick it up for a second and fix a time when we can talk later. And I really appreciate that. Manab and I met, along with Sharda, of course, around 1972 in a place called Science College, in a place called Kolkata in the 70s. I must define Science College a little, because Science College, I mentioned many times in our chairs, and I must say that Science College is not a college in the conventional sense. It's a campus which holds all the postgraduate science and technology departments of the Calcutta University. It's lovingly called Science College for many years, even I think during Satyen Bose and Meghna Saha's time, or even before that. So that defines Science College. I need to talk a little about Kolkata 70, because the general image people have about the Kolkata of the 70s is the political scenario which Kolkata went through, but there was a much brighter aspect of the 70s and 80s. Those were possibly the most, the brightest decades of what is normally mentioned as Bengal Renaissance period. We had galaxy of stars in the arts field, particularly, be it literature, be it music of any shade, be it art, painting, sculpture, literature. I mean, you name all the fields. We were very fortunate to go through that period. I had to mention it because the time and space also define people, and in the context of Manab, I just wanted to mention this one. So that's what was the time, and that's where we met. And we were in a small department. We had hardly 25 to 30 people in a batch there. Came from different geographies with different financial backgrounds, different academic records, but we decided that we were all very equal. Not average, just equal. In the sense that we had our own characteristics, of course. If you were present in the Science College canteen at that time, you would have heard people talking about Pablo Neruda. People were deliberating whether Robert McNamara's visit is proper at a time when Vietnam War is going on, or about the latest literature, about science, about football. East Bengal and Mohun Bagan were very prominent. So that's the time. And of course, we had difference of opinions, and we used to fight very more. He was the magician. He was like an automatic leader for us. I mean, the
voice is breaking.
All of us.
Dipankarda, if you want, you can switch off your video. It seems your internet connection is unstable.
Voice is breaking.
Yeah.
So what should I do?
No, video, you can switch off your camera. Just put the camera, click the camera icon. It will switch off the camera so that your internet bandwidth will be okay then.
Okay, just hold on. I need to learn it every time. That is the problem. Yeah, I think I've done it.
Yes.
Is it okay? Can you hear me more properly?
Yeah,
Better.
for now, yes.
Did you miss a lot of what I spoke?
Not much. We could make out. So please carry on,
Yeah,
sir.
continue.
Okay. So we came from different backgrounds, including academic records, but we decided that we are actually equals, which was a nice thing. We didn't have any compulsion to be right to each other or nice to be each other. We could really fight and could have multiple interests. And Manab was the natural leader. How, we don't know. He was a magician. I mean, we just used to listen to him whenever we had differences. He led us in many things. You may not even believe that we have even rock climbing certificates. We used to go for treks in Himalayas and in the forests of Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Odisha under his leadership. And that's the type of leadership he had. Only two wrong things he had, I must mention. And I'm saying it in a jest, of course. Manab, I have not seen Manab getting disturbed ever in my life, and that's very disturbing. I mean, there were moments I was not right to him, and he would not even comment. He would not even softly say I was wrong, and he would not show any emotion ever to anyone. I think I have not seen a person like that before. It was very difficult, very stoic. I mean, absolutely spiritual. And the other part is that he used to take almost everything so easily. I mean, he didn't have a plan to be an IAS officer. I mean, initially he completed his MTech, joined the engineering service, and then one day decided that he's better suited in a like changing the train in the other stations. And a few years later, when he was, I know he was very busy, he was traveling remote villages of West Bengal, capital cities of many states, and Delhi for his Panchayat Raj work. One day morning, he announced that he just finished his PhD from Tata Institute of Social Science. I felt like killing him. I mean, it's aspects of this guy, which I love actually. I'll end it with a short story, which is the reason I thought all of us should listen to him. A few months back, and of course, I was going through a period of emotional and physical. And the dates, some clerical work to be done at the BDO's office, block development. Manab was nice to arrange a meeting with him, and I was swept off my feet. This gentleman personally took me to his so-called small office, called most of his juniors, introduced me to all of them, saying that I should be given all helps, even if he's not around. And my name in that office was, he didn't even ask, office was Manab Roy sir's friend. And that's outstanding. It's 12 years after this guy retired. He was still a god in the office. I mean, even those dark moments, for an hour, I was ecstatic. I called up Manab, and for the first time in my life, I told him that I was very proud of him. Okay, I end my introduction here. I thought I've given some glimpses of his characteristic. Talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipankar. And mention many things, which now I can start the discourse. So good evening again to all the friends in this group. And it was my pleasure and thanks to Mr. Arun Rai and Dipankar for making the bridge between this group and myself. So it will be my pleasure and honor to be expressing some of the facts or reflect my experiences and knowledge on the local governance in rural area, that is panchayats. So this entire discussion is structured in quite a few capsules. So I'll try to be brief, say half an hour, 40 minutes. Then we can have some chat, some discussion and things like that. So first, the thing is that uh, we should first make a difference between government and governance. We are talking about the local, rural local governance. We know government at the state, at the center, but more critical is governance. While government is a structure which administers different acts, even pass different acts and implements those for the benefit of the people. Govern is basically one way what government does. And governance is how people who elect the government, they remain engaged with their government. So in our country, we do not have much of the governance part. We have more of presence of government doing things unilaterally. That is one of the rules of our country, that engagement of the people does not go beyond electing people once in 5 years. And we make it a purely representative democracy, not a true participatory democracy, for two reasons. Our society, our sanskar, or our way of being groomed does not really value the dignity of others, or really does not think us to be equal, highly heterogeneous society. Democracy requires all respect to everyone, recognize that everybody has the same right. We do not do it in our day. And other is our legal structure, our constitutional structure. So that's why we have many problems of service delivery, and our country is administered from well above, which creates problems of last mile delivery. We do not have any dearth of programs, dearth of investment. Our major problem is there are dearth of rules or laws. Our major problem is poor implementation, because the connect between government and the people is very weak. So that is one of the rationale why there should be more of democratic decentralization. So we are now talking of democratic decentralization. It's not decentralization alone, it's a democratic decentralization where people elect their own leaders. So there are two things about local government with a democratic body. Couple of very important conceptual point I'll place before you. One is the fiscal equivalence. You are running the expense of the government. How many of we, whenever we do something, realize that we are bearing the cost of the government? Anything the government does is the people. We cannot equate a government activity with my payment, because government is far away. I am not directly connected. As you come down to a, say, village level or a local level or a municipality level, you can connect between what you pay and what the service you get. That's a fiscal equivalence, that whatever you are paying for, you can watch the service that you are getting. That makes better, from the economic sense of better resource allocation efficiency, because you will be watched what you are paying, what you are spending, and what you are receiving from that. That is one economic justice. Other is basically a principle of subsidiarity. This is very critical, not only in governance or government, but also in day-to-day life. The principle of subsidiarity says that whatever is possible to be done at a lower level should be done at that level. Anything that can be done at a lower level cannot be done at a higher level. So anything that can be done at a panchayat level or a village level, nobody else should do it from above. So that will be a misallocation of resources. That will be a poor governance, and also a misfit solution. Many occasions it happened. So the other thing is that our country is really managed by a blueprint approach, program designed at the central level, which is also called a top-down approach. We have a program, National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, spends more than 60,000 crore a year. And ultimately, every Gram Panchayat, every rural area has to follow the guidelines from above. While a rationale is that it should be not top down, it should be bottom up. It should be more participatory, and it should be also match the local diversity, the local need, and the local problems, the local situations. So that misfit is another problem. That's why if the governance can be brought down below, then it's a better governance at all. The quality of good governance, the quality of service delivery, quality of the grievance redressal, all this will be a bit better. Technically, the current situation which we are, what the higher tiers give the service to the people below. Say somebody is getting a service from Government of India, the state government, the or in government, or in governance as a whole, what matters the most is the accountability framework. Who is accountable to whom? How this accountability framework is operationalized, how that is watched, and if there is failure, how it is taken care of. In a very rough sense, in our country, the only accountability is election 1 in 5 years. And now also election is so much of question the quality of election, the quality of the organizing the whole thing. So it really does not reflect the accountability of the people that we should have the change in government. Good accountability is watching the government on a day-to-day basis, influencing their decision in favor of, articulate the demand in their favor, whoever is working for do something, and also contribute constructively in ensuring that what government want to do is done properly. All these happen much better if the government is at local level, and that's why there should be more devolution. This is the theoretical understanding. Now, looking back, when our country became free after the independence, then prior to that also we had a local governance, mostly in the urban area. And we had the urban government long ago. You can recall, if someone is aware, that there's Lord Ripon's resolution in 1882. After that, the local government system started. There was district board and there was local other boards, but mostly district boards. And municipal governance was very old. In fact, you will be, I hope you know, if not, it's a very surprising fact. Chennai Corporation is the world's second oldest municipal corporation after London. That was established, I think, 1688 or so. But all other came after the Ripon's resolution, except Calcutta, Mumbai, which came in around 1726. These are the three oldest. But we are talking mostly the rural areas. There, after independence, some of the state passed their Panchayat Act. I remember I have seen Bihar Panchayat Act of 1948, which is was applicable to entire Bihar and Jharkhand. But only a few states had it, because our constitution, which was accepted in the later in 1950, the constitution provides some clauses as a directive principle. That's merely mentioned there should be village panchayat. In constitution language, should or may, there may be village panchayat, not should. There may be village panchayats, and that was the directive. May means not mandatory, it's optional. Shall means it has to be done. So states did not have any panchayat, and whatever Panchayat Act had, it hardly had any impact, hardly had election, anything. Then after a review was made in 1955, that 54 or so, that whatever the new government, after we became independent and the government started the 5 years plan, wanted to develop the country very fast, that what was attempted is not showing any result because people are disconnected with the government initiative to develop. And that is the time when the National Extension Service was started. That leads to the BDO's office. This is as old as 1952. This office was initiated and the group of officials were placed in BDO's office. They were expert. So connect between the expert and the people was not there. Then there was a committee called the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, which gave his report in 1955 saying, we must have local government, must have panchayat, and based on that, there's no compulsion on them legally, but based on the report, because in those days it was a one-party governance both in the government, both the center and the state, all the states are told that you must have your Panchayat Act and you must have election. So between 55 to 57, starting from Rajasthan, All the states had their Panchayat Act. By 1955-56, most states have their own Panchayat system, 3-tier, 4-tier, like that. This worked for 5-10 years. After that, no election took place anywhere. It became dormant, non-effective, because funding to the Panchayat is poor. Actual power to the Panchayat was very little. It was simply elected and they stayed, because there's no political will to have this type of local governments. Then some states had their Panchayat Act. West Bengal had it in 1972, but the first election took place in 1977-8. And after that, Karnataka was the second, who has the Panchayat Act in 1980s, early mid-80s. But Gujarat and Maharashtra had strong Jila Parishad from 60s. Their Jila Parishad string continued for some other reason. So after and there are two attempts in 60s and early 80s to amend the constitution that there shall be panchayats, so that all municipalities, but that failed after the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, and it was his dream who wanted to have this thing. Out of compassionate feeling, all the parties agreed that we'll do it. We'll agree to amend the constitution, and the constitution amended in 1973. What is the impact of this amendment? This amendment allowed, or it made some clauses which are mandatory clauses. And that is the time when there was Sarkaria Commission, which was dealing with the center-state relationship. States were really shouting their voice that we are being deprived from our authority is being taken away. Some of the subjects were taken from state to the concurrent list and things like that. Then Panchayat being a state subject, the political leadership wanted that the amendments should be such that states should be given enough authority. We should not take away their authority. We must put in place a bare minimum structure so that panchayats are in place as a mandatory thing. 4 or 5 clauses were mandatory, which had shall provision. One, there shall be panchayat and there shall be municipality, local governments. There shall be election every 5 years. There shall be a state finance commission. There shall be a state election commission. And there shall be reservation of seats for the women, 1/3, at least 1/3, and for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in proportion to their population. Incidentally, today is the International Women Day, and we have some women participants also. Congratulations to you. But that's a great service to the women, at least on paper. So we'll come later how much it has fulfilled the thing. So Panchayat election was held. There are some states which delayed it. Eventually, because of the SAL provision, all the panchayats were in place. The Gram Panchayats, then the Panchayat Samiti at the block level, and Jila Parishad at the district level. And we have around 2.3969 lakh Gram Panchayats in the country. And total number of elected members, Panchayat members in our country is whooping 3 million, 30 lakhs around. This is nowhere in any country in the world that we have so many number of representatives. So out of 30 lakhs, number of women representatives are more than 10 lakhs, because by now most states have moved to 50% reservation for women. So out of 30 lakhs, between 12 to 15 lakhs should be women panchayat representative. So they are there. But how much they are effective in changing the quality of governance, there are many questions, but something has certainly moved in a big way. And we have seen the transition, how they came timidly, and now many of them are doing leading the panchayat, doing good services, but not in a high scale. There are limitation of their being a part because of gender disparity in the society, the social prescription that what women can do and not do, and many other factors. We have no time to discuss all these things, but this is a great that many countries do not have even 10 million plus elected representative. Our country has 10 million plus women elected representative. That's something that churns out the society and gives women a long standing that they can really work for the country, they can work for the society. So that's what has been achieved. But what has not been achieved, Panchayat is a state subject, and the Constitution Amendment says that one of the Article 243G says that state legislature may devolve on the panchayats, also equally applicable in other amendment, 74th Amendment for the municipalities, the powers and authorities as they deem fit for economic development and social justice of the country. This is another important component. So structure is the same across the country. What are different? These few things are different. One, size of the Gram Panchayat is totally different in different states. Kerala has more than 30,000 population per Gram Panchayat. West Bengal has more than 20,000. And maybe Telangana will have, or some of the states, even Maharashtra have Gram Panchayat, it can be 1,000, 2,000, or even less. Okay, so that varies. Then what is very important component is that what will be the activities of the Gram Panchayat, which technically called the functions. What will be their responsibilities? That depends absolutely on the state legislature, on the political will, and overall this is called devolution of power. Devolution of power to the panchayats across the country has been very wide. Some states have devolved more, mostly I'll say Kerala, to some extent Karnataka, to some extent West Bengal. And some states have hardly devolved anything. They are there because constitution say it has to be there. So once you give a function to the panchayat, then there is another thing that also was realized after this was passed. Now, there are 29 subjects listed in the constitutions which may be devolved. These are subjects, broad themes. The devolution of power on these themes does not mean that everything on that subject has to be devolved. There is a technical term called activity mapping. For example, education is to be devolved, primary and secondary education. That does not mean the department will be wound up, but some of the activities to be identified through a process called activity mapping has to be devolved to the tier of panchayats, which is the based on principle of subsidiarity can take up those things. I'll give an example. We unpacked the activities of the education department and found around 200 plus activities which they perform. For example, they perform, say, and all these activities can be divided in 5 categories or 4 categories to be said. One category is preparing policy and making standards. For any government thing, any program, anything, this is fundamental. What is your policy? What you are going to achieve? And what is the standard you want to reach? Second is putting in place the machinery, fund, and everything resources to attain that policies. Third is to manage the system on a day-to-day basis, to operate and manage. It's a day-to-day management of the whole system. That is the third category. Fourth category, keep on monitoring and checking whether you are achieving your standard, you are failing in the policy or things like that. These are broad 4 governance area. So we unpacked the education related thing. Many subjects it was done. For an example, I'm saying there are many things here in the policy level. Policy level cannot be devolved. You cannot have different syllabus for class 10 different districts or different Gram Panchayat. This cannot be devolved. And creation of infrastructure can be devolved, cannot be devolved depending on the principle of subsidiarity. For example, recruitment of teacher may not be devolved because there may be wrong recruitment, there may be nepotism and things like that. Similarly, creating building and technically more difficult thing cannot be devolved on them. But on operational day-to-day side, many things can be devolved. For example, running the midday meal can be certainly looked up to by the Gram Panchayat, that how many children have come, what will be cooked, how it will be eaten, how it will be served. And of course, monitoring and evaluation can never be devolved because the player cannot be referee. You cannot ask the Gram Panchayat what you are doing, tell me. Though government reporting is basically that, where the player becomes a referee. But I just briefly mentioned that devolution has not been done based on this principle. When the Ministry of Panchayati Raj was created, Mr. Manishankar was the first Panchayat minister. He was very enthusiastic, had I think 12, 13 convention across different states on different themes to make all the states agree, all the chief ministers agreed and they passed resolution. But still, nothing much was devolved, and after that it lost its force. After he lost the ministry, he was no longer the ministry after first term. So that's the story. That means not much have been devolved in most states. Then Panchayat cannot depend merely on devolution also. Panchayat can also act based on what they think should be done. There are two types of activities in government. One is the regulatory activity, which requires a solid legal support, a legal framework for you to act. But regulatory administration is well defined, who will do what. If income tax is to be collected by the government of India, it cannot be collected by others. It cannot be devolved like that. But developmental administration can be done by many, all tiers. Give you an example of construction of road. We have national highway, we have state highway, we have district road, we have village road, and there can be clear devolution who will maintain what. And there are already at the higher level, but the village level, lower level, it is not there, so that people know who is responsible for what. That brings the accountability mechanism clearly. In absence of that, what happens? People keep the petition ready. Whoever comes, put the name, and the same petition goes from the Rashtrapati to the BDO that we are in this problem. This should be done. So our country has poor accountability mechanism and poor devolution and poor transparency of who is going to do what, who is responsible for what. That is a big problem in our governance, which could have been solved by strong Panchayat system. And that is very important in another context, that our devolution or our constitutional amendment has given the Panchayat the status of third stratum of government, because in the constitution there is only state government and central government. After the amendment, third tier is the local government. And ours is a top-down devolution through the act or the amendment of the constitution. So the maturity of the panchayats in realizing the democratic power, in understanding the democratic values, in respecting everyone and working together to do something, that is missing. Historically, the local government started in the after the industrial revolution in the Europe, because industrial revolution that required people to come near the factories and settle. Small townships started developing. There was a need for civic services. And when the civic services were in a disarray, they thought we must have elected government locally who will arrange our road, who will arrange our drainage, who will arrange water supply, sanitation. That is the genesis of local government. So people realized to have better service delivery, we must have this in place. So this is evolved like that. Even some of the countries, the local government is so strong. Say the case of Switzerland, there any person to become a citizen of Switzerland has to be first the citizen of their commune. That is the lowest level. If the commune accepts you as a citizen, then it goes up to the federal government that you become a citizen of Switzerland, not otherwise. So there the system has evolved from below. People started realizing the advantage of local decision making, local problem solving, and how we can work together in a democratic way to take care of our responsibilities, to care of our civic services which we need, because the situation has changed in the village area. There is hardly such need of water or road or sanitation, all this thing, but in a small town around factories, this became a need. But our thing is just the reverse. The process of evolution of understanding democratic values have not been gone through in India. So people do not internalize that what is the strength of the local government which we have, how to get associated with the local government. So what has happened, that since our government has created local government for economic development and social justice, many of the development programs, which are basically targeted development programs to be given to some people and getting automatically denied to others, various scholarship, various pension and various social security schemes, where they come to panchayats only to see that their name is listed, the beneficiary, and they get some benefit, but not as a citizen that we can improve our quality of life for the whole society. Because again, I mentioned that the heterogeneity of our society from the traditional is so long, based on class, caste, other ethnicity, that we remain divided, that we can work together and live together in a much better way that requires a lot of education of the people, lot of realization, internalization, and this evolves when we work with the local solution together. But that is, we'll have long ways to go to really have it. So the status of devolution is that poor that not much, excepting a few states, it varies. Different states have different strengths and weaknesses. So we have the strength of a government, but we do not have enough function. And when you are given a function, then government must see that you are given fund to discharge that. And we will also ensure that there is functionaries to discharge your responsibility. So three things are very important, 3F. And there's also a fourth step. One is the function, second is the fund, third is the functionary who will work for you, fourth is the freedom. Actually, apart from function, regarding fund, only Gram Panchayat and municipality have power of taxation. Now rest all have gone to GST, they can tax houses, properties. Property tax is the only tax which is not buoyant. That means it does not go high, it does not increase very fast like the service tax. So total earning by Panchayat is very little. Again, to compare with the international scenario, total earning, if we take all the public money together, the entire public resources, the divisible pool of Government of India and all states together, panchayats together, the share of panchayats and municipalities, the local government in total earning will not be even 1 to 2%. It's very, very little. And share of Government of India in the earning is around 66%. Share of states is around 33%. While responsibility to the state government to discharge more services, because all the service related subjects are with the state government in more than 50%. That's why there are finance commissions which decides every 5 years how much of the divisible pool of the Government of India will go to the state government, and within that share how much will go to different states based on certain formula. This is formula driven. And from the 12th Finance Commission onward, after the 10th Finance Commission, but Constitution Amendment was done after that, before that 10th Finance Commission was constituted. So from then onward, they are also giving share of the total kitty of the Government of India to take care of some of the funds, and that is being given to the local government as well. The current the Finance Commission is the 15th Finance Commission. This is the last year. Next year is the last year. But then 16th Finance Commission will be giving their award, and we'll go for the 16th Finance Commission award. Every state and every panchayat, the local government look forward how much will be their kitty. To give an idea of the fund of the panchayat, the 15th Finance Commission over the period of 5 years gave around 4.36 lakh crore to the panchayat. To the local government, the share of panchayats will be around 3 lakh crore for the country as a whole over 5 years. So roughly being 2.69 lakh here. Annual average will be 1 crore per GP in 5 years, but it varies widely depending on the size, because population is one of the yardstick based to which the division among the panchayats or within the panchayats are taken place. Okay, so this is the kitty, and total responsibility, if you map what has been given, will be more than 10% that panchayat can do. How do we compare with the OECD countries and the China, countries like China? In China, 50% of their public expenditure is through local government. So your last mile targeting is much better, because half of the total revenue of the country is spent through local decision making. In our country, this will be not more than 4-5%, including the big ticket scheme like MMG and REGS, which has a budget of around 60,000 crore plus, maybe 70,000 crore by now. So the total resources, so first thing we are discussing, total function devolved on the panchayat still not high. Then total fund that is received by them, most of it is the fund they get it from the Finance Commission. Their own revenue is very weak. There are states where they do not even allow the panchayats to collect revenue. They will lose election. This is a totally political decision. And there's again a poor politics that is happening. Then function is another big problem. There are many panchayats in some states at least where not even one full-time employees are there, And there are states like Kerala, West Bengal, where you have at least 10, 15 employees in a Gram Panchayat, including engineers and all these things. It depends on the quality of devolution. So you cannot judge panchayats of the state of the India as a whole. You have to judge it state-wise. Which state is at what level, what service they provide, what is the functions on them, what the functionaries on them, what the or the funds that they receive. So this is an area where we need to improve. And the other big problem is that there's hardly any public discourse, because people who are living in urban areas have more voice. They are not so much bothered by the panchayats because panchayats hardly affect their life. So they are more bothered about the current events as surrounding the capital, other big incidents or other thing which makes the media going. But how the people, rural people are living, what is the problem and things are how bad. On many respects, our situation in our country is very, very bad. I'll give you one example that we are the most malnourished country of the world, one of the most, including the African countries. In spite of having now is the 50th year of our ICDS program, which provides nutrition services to the children from 0 to 6 years. Because our main failure is the last mile, poor accountability, and of course, the quality of governance at the Gram Panchayat level is also at a problem. So two things are simultaneously true. One thing is that there is not enough devolution on the panchayats. They should be devolved more function, fund, and functionaries. Number two, whatever has been devolved, their capacity is too weak, not to even, they are not being able to even utilize it fully. Again, it varies widely across the state. There are excellent panchayats from which you can learn governance. And there are panchayats who are run by the employees, the hardly elected leader who can take a decision. But one good thing is that over the last more than 25 years, almost close to more than 30 years rather, the overall improvement in terms of acceptance of local governance at the village level is strong. You cannot wish away the system. Now we have to waiting for the political leaders to see that to help the country to progress faster, we must have good quality local governance. So the local spending and local things are important. Last point I'll mention, not merely from those point of view. Many solutions has to be local. You cannot have a solution at the higher level. The two things that you are facing critically, one is related to each other. One is the climate change. Other is the dwindling water resources. Per capita availability of water in India has come down from 5,000 cubic meter in 1951 to around 1,400 as of now, which is below the water stress level. It varies from place to place. And our ground level water is getting so much of depleted that without local action, people will go, many areas, including cities, will go dry. It's already going dry. So climate change, water management, and all these things, and also food production, which is again dependent on availability of water. These problems is hanging on our neck like albatross. We have to solve it. Without that, there is a huge problem which is waiting for us. I wish that government will take note, and the civic and other thing is very important. That is to be the last word. It's told that as are the people, so is the government. Unless people are also awakened that this is how you should govern yourself, things is not change fast. It is changing, but very slowly. Will take long time to make a good local government. I think I'll stop here and we'll wait for your comment, because it's such a huge subject. I thought I'd touch upon a few basic things.
Thank you, sir. From Anu, sorry, Arun sir, you want to say something?
No, this is a very dry subject. I was telling the first day. It is not so attractive subject. So it requires a lot of passion to really go deep into this subject. So I'm ready for any question, and we can discuss more through that mode, question answer mode.
Yes, there'll be questions in some time because people take some time to react. But I must say that the way the entire talk went on, the subject is very close to your heart. and you are very, very passionate about it. And goes without saying that the kind of deep knowledge that you have can only come when you have a first-hand experience. And in a way, if I may use the word, if somebody has dirtied his hand, then only one gets to know things to that
Everywhere.
extent. Yes. So thank you, sir. And I know there'll be some questions, but I had just one point, sir, and it's not. It we may call a question or a comment. I come from Bihar,
Yes.
and in Bihar, yes, I have seen some devolution of Panchayati Raj.
The
Some
Nal
powers
Jal
have been
Yojana. Most is the Nal Jal Yojana,
Nal Jal
which was
Yojana.
given to the ward committees.
Yes.
That was very good.
Yes. And to some extent, I have seen in the schools what you said about the midday meal scheme. That part, the positive part of it, I found was that at least there are many people, there are many children who come from the families below poverty line.
Yes.
So one of the main motivations for going to school was to go and get a meal for the day.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
And if nothing else, even if they have learned just about 5% of what they were supposed to have learned, but at least once a day they get a kind of reasonable meal with reasonable nutrition. So
Absolutely.
that was, but notwithstanding that, there has been a lot of corruption in midday meal school also at a lower level.
Yes.
And but there are teachers in the schools who stand up to it. मुखिया जी ने या सरपंच जी ने कहा कि हमारे यहाँ शादी है तो एक बोरा आलू भिजवा दीजिएगा, एक बोरा चावल भिजवा दीजिएगा.
Yes,
Those kind of demands come, but the
yes.
teachers who stand up to it. I know about these inputs, so you'll know better because you have the direct you have dealt with such situation, right? And a last thing, sorry, sir.
No, please complete.
And one more thing, sir. You said that there are 33% reservation for women in the
Now it is
Panchayati Raj.
50%, most of the
50,
states. Bihar
yes.
is one of the leading states. Bihar did it, I
Yes.
think, second after Madhya Pradesh, or maybe
Yes,
faster.
yes, 50%. So I was coming to that point, sir. And in my family also, there had been many mukhiyas, I mean, close relatives who became mukhiya, whose son became mukhiya, and like on. And now their bahu has become mukhiya because it is a women panchayat.
It's a fiefdom.
It's a fiefdom. Now, in that condition, what I see there is there is a new term which has been coined, and that is called mukhiya pati.
Yeah.
So though the lady will be the mukhya, but the actual power will be in the hand of the gentleman who's the head of the family, or who's the, so that is something probably is a challenge for future, which
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's a societal problem. That is not government's problem. That is a problem of the society.
Yes.
And I think society has to handle it.
I have two things to mention about Bihar. I have fortunately or incidentally got a good knowledge of Bihar Panchayat. I've traveled many of the districts of Bihar, made many panchayats, also including one study for which Bihar should be proud. This is the only state which has a Gram Kachari system, if you are aware for others. It is the system of democratic decentralization of judiciary. Yes. Along with election of the Mukhia, they elect the Sarpanch, the Gram Kachari is elected representative. They try many cases, and we do a lot of research on many subjects, including local governance. So it was very fascinating, and Rajasthan government recently shown interest that we would like to replicate it. We had a seminar there. And for others to know that 80% of the cases that goes to Gram Kachari is resolved within 10-15 days. It's very fast, cheap, within the doorstep. It's a very unique system. Bihar should feel proud of this system. Is running for many years. And not that every Sarpanch is doing well, that there the head is called Sarpanch.
Yes.
So, but the system is wonderful. That is one should feel proud of. Second is about the Panchayat Poti or Mukhya Poti. Minister Panchayati Raj just published a report. I'm reviewing the report. Just how to prevent this menace of Panchayat Poti. So they have suggested some stringent measures. This has not yet been put to effect, but it has to be affected by the respective state. Panchayat is their domain. So without political, it will not come. Certainly it's a big menace. Then I'll give the state actually. Another example from the state of Rajasthan. I have visited Rajasthan Panchayats many occasions on a different area. Initial days, the the Mukhia used to come in a ghungat, hardly speaking anything. Somebody will speak in there. Or in some cases, they were inside, other people are speaking on their behalf, member or. Later, they started coming to the office, but along with the Panchayat Poti. But now, what is happening, that's a very ray of hope. The younger girls who are getting elected and getting attracted, maybe from the family of the Mukhia, they are not that, they cannot be dominated so easily. They are coming forward. They are as smart as their male counterpart. So those who are younger women representative Panchayat, we have much hope on them. They are educated. They are not to follow the prescription of the male-dominated society within limit. They cannot revolt. But things are improving. Even in Rajasthan, I've seen in different generations of Panchayat is very important. Rajasthan is one state where there's more culture of ghungat. They don't easily come forward. So, but now it is quite much better. So that's the ray of hope.
Good, sir. Thank you. Sir, now the questions have started coming up, and I can see Mr. Arvind Jha, Dr. Arvind Jha, sorry. He has raised his hand. Sir, you can unmute yourself and go on.
Yeah, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Yeah, I was really so happy to be a part of this discourse. I think every sentence of yours can be expanded into a session. I mean, it's such a, yeah, it was very compact and extremely nicely put. And I have been in the forest department. I was in the Indian Forest Service.
Yes.
And I have been quite into PESA.
Yeah,
Panchayat
I have not
Extension.
mentioned Pesha, that will complicate things.
Yeah, no, it's a very big subject, in fact.
Yes.
But on the part of the principle itself, which really made me many a times flabbergasted, in the sense that when we talk of Panchayat in the current phase of democracy, you see, we try to get the idea from the previous Panchayat system, where normally a person who was accepted by everybody, and normally consensus used to prevail on the particular person's name, etc., etc. Now we are into politics. So every panchayat that is sort of elected has a strong political undertones, and then they start working only for 5 years, kind of a phase.
Yes.
So that's a very big change that has been brought because of the democracy. But it has its own negative points also. Example I'll give you of the forest only. You see, every under this FRA, for example, Forest Right Act,
FRA.
2006, which I implemented in Maharashtra. I was Commissioner Tribal at that time, so I was given this charge to implement it. And that time I found that the Gram Sabhas, they were totally dependent on, again, the rural elite and powerful people. And they used to call the shots. And there were so many cases which were not eligible. So almost 50% of the cases which have been passed by the Gram Sabha, they are found to be ineligible.
Yes.
But those are encroachments, and they have been done after the date, and they are continuing because there is a section, a very funny section. Anyway, so main thing is that if the local level people's governance doesn't have a very strong control system, by whichever manner, because that of course is lacking at all levels today, as you mentioned. Unless that happens, it becomes very difficult. One of the panchayats, because they had just 2 years of tenure, they said that let us fell all these trees and get the revenue, or let us collect all the minor forest produce. So they overdrafted on whatever was available, and the sustainability was gone. There are examples of some of the most quoted examples of Forest Rights Act's community rights, So this thing can happen if we don't have a system of controlling such a big chunk of people. You see, earlier, suppose a video was on did something wrong, he would be suspended. Out of that fear, he would not go, or a range officer for that matter. But now the whole Gram Sabha has done this. Whom would you really take action against? I mean, these are very basic issues that are coming up in the realm of the
Yes.
devolution of authority, you know. So this is just one example. Urban, you also talked about 74th Amendment, the devolution at the urban level. There, of course, it exists, but not yet implemented that well in many of the areas, in so many subjects. And you rightly pointed out that you basically वो चीर फाड़ किया आपने हर एक सब्जेक्ट का एडुकेशन का करके देखा कि which is supposed to be implemented at what level and controlled at what level. So that kind of an exercise must be done for all the subjects, those
Yes.
29 subjects and all. So that may perhaps improve all the things. And money, of course, I mean, corruption का तो इन्होंने बता ही दिया. So it has its own plus points and minus points, but of course, you would definitely like to see the results of what you are paying for or the services that you are paying for. And the local level governance has no option but to be answerable to your inputs to the government. So, but overall, it was wonderful, and maybe we can connect. I've been writing on Forest Right Acts, lots of it. I've also been critical of so many other things, which I'll definitely share with you, so that we get solutions from you. You have been an experienced person in this regard, and I'm so happy to hear you today and learn from you. Thank you so much.
Actually, you mentioned the right thing. That is the problem. I did not go to that extent. I had no time to really come out this. There are three big issues. One is elite capture, the hangover of our old colonial society and old rich people, Jamindas and things like that. That still hangs heavy. Number one. Number two, the high level of heterogeneity we have mentioned. Many people are socially marginalized. They do not have the courage to even take water from the well of the rich or the better higher social group. That's the reality even in Maharashtra. And second is the economic disparity. If you are dependent on the sarpanch, you are farm labor of that land, you cannot raise a question. Your employment will go. You will suffer hugely. So these two things are a big bane for the country, the economic disparity. So with high economic disparity, democracy does not operate well. Because you don't have the freedom to speech, you do not have the freedom to really challenge anyone, and overall you have low voice. That is the other thing. And so these are the two things. And of course, other component is for the government officials are to be blamed. The watch and the supervision, inspection, and capacity building is low. It's the training or capacity building is poor. The watching of that is also poor. In fact, one of the conclusions many people have mentioned, the capacity of the state government to capacitate the panchayat is not there. The whole state has, I am quite familiar with Maharashtra Panchayat also. In fact, we have an office in Aurangabad in Maharashtra. So Maharashtra is better in Panchayat. But particularly Jila Parishad level devolution is much better. But many states do not have the capacity so that they can capacitate 30 lakh Panchayat members. So that capacity enhancement requires restructuring of the arrangement and real focus on this component. So you say we have 10 lakh plus women panchayat members. What is their capacity? How many times they've been trained? Many of them could be literate. Many could be even highly qualified. So there are differential requirement.
No, one small point I'll just like to tell. Once we had a meeting in the Panchayati Raj Ministry in Government of India, and I had gone as the tribal commissioner. I had gone with an interesting proposal. I said कि भाई आज अगर देखा जाए बिहार for example, वहाँ पे जितने youngsters हैं from villages, they have all moved out for some work. पंजाब से लेके बॉम्बे से लेके everywhere you find them working here. जो लोग पास हो गए ठीक ठाक वो बेचारे कहीं नौकरी में लग गए, जो फेल हो गए वो बेचारे वहीं बैठे हुए हैं. Now they are the people who are supposed to govern at the lowest level of democracy. So how do you improve them in terms of capacity building? It's a real challenge. क्योंकि अच्छे लोग बाहर चले जाते हैं, जो थोड़े बेहतर हैं वो कुछ काम करने लगते हैं, साइकिल का पंचर लगाने लगते हैं, ये करते वो करते. फाइनली जो विलेज में रह जाता है वो एंड बूढ़े लोग रह जाते हैं. So what kind of governance and what kind of control and what kind of, I mean, it's a real challenge. I mean,
I'll tell you, the flight of human resources is everywhere. Bihar, it may be more even at the lower level. But the good thing is that even one is not literate can be excellent governor, can be an excellent leader, provided the right intention and right orientation. So you better to be literate, better to have some minimum level of education, but training can make you a pro-people person and understand the nuances of governance. So that requires again a strong capacity building at the village level. And Bihar has tried recently. They had trying to develop their training system. We also did a paper for them, did a study for them. Bihar government. They have a good initiative.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So next we have Pankaj Maniji. He has raised his hand. Pankaj, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Director. I think traveling on road, so maybe you won't be able to see my face. But thank you for the wonderful session, sir. And I have few comments to add. First is you talked about decentralization and all those things. And from risk management perspective also, I am professionally into risk management. And we see that decentralization is a very important role even for risk management purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So if you because decentralization makes the system a bit anti-fragile,
inefficient.
Yeah, and fragility also increases if the system becomes very centralized. Okay.
Yes.
So we have also seen in the case of COVID as well, recent scenario. So that was a wonderful point you made. And then you talked about sustainability and climate crisis. That's a really big challenge because I also come from Bihar, and I see those things at a very village level. But what I feel that the psychology of people in the village is a bit different from what is basically thought as a highest government. Say, for example, I'm saying that I have interacted with local people. And see, for example, population is a big issue for India, countries like India. But when I interact with local villagers, they say, I feel very happy to see so many children around me. So it's a matter of more prestige that if I have more sons and daughters and grandchildren with me. So that's just contradictory. If we look at the from the top level thinking and at the very bottom level thinking. Okay.
Yes.
So this is just a very few sample I'm talking about. It exists in very different domain as well. Okay. And so I just wanted to comment on that. And the third thing, third and last point I just wanted to ask you, and that's not from the session, but from the Dipankar sir introduction from you, that you have been in bureaucracy for so long. How do you maintain that emotional calmness? Because I am studying on human behavior. So I just wanted to understand that how do you maintain those emotional calmness?
I won't be able to tell how do I do it, but really I remain composed even in worst scenario. I try to be. I don't know how.
That's really very
you have to learn to control your mind. I don't know how, but it's an exercise you have to do mentally. How to remain cool.
Okay. Thank you.
And little philosophical to life, little spiritual.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for mentioning.
Okay. So now Dipankar, I can see he has raised his hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Manab, I think we needed full session to really understand what you said, but whatever.
We take 2-3 days to explain all these things.
Yeah, and that level of concentration, because we are all urban people, unfortunately. The two questions I have in mind is that, did you ever see press media? Anyone from media who talks of Panchayat Raj in India?
So
I'm not
press
audible?
coverage of panchayats.
Right. The failure of
Actually,
Panchayat.
there are two types of press. One is the state level press or national level press. Other is the local press. Every district has local papers. In local papers, there are some news, something like that, but state level, hardly anything.
So
This
there's
is
no
not
state.
in public discourse.
Oh. And the second one is it identified who fails if Panchayat Raj does not?
We
Who
as a
fails?
country,
I know. That's a very easy answer.
we all. No, actually, the evolution of the country and the, again, very critical thing is our heterogeneity in the society. It is a part of our culture that there has to be different class and caste of people.
Okay, my question was simple, Manab. I wanted to know if anyone has been assigned the duty to make Panchayat Raj.
No, it's not any person's job, because the panchayat is also a state subject. Every state should have the commitment to improve their local government. In fact, there is no need for a minister at the government of India level, because it is a subject assigned to the
No,
state.
so even at the state level, do you see a need that we should have an ideal person?
No, I tell you, these are matters of certain coincidence in the time on history, when some people come forward with a positive looking thing and something happens like that. For example, the type of constitutional amendment that happened, I don't see in the near future any such major things will happen. Coming to the state level, there are certain states which are trying to move a little ahead, and things are improving, but it's a very slow process. And that is what we are really not happy about. It should be more fast and more rational and more what I said type of change. Transformation of the system, not little tweaking.
But we don't have an identified person to take it forward. We don't have any help from media.
No champions in the politics who can champion this.
Yeah, there's no
we have no champions.
Okay.
Thank you, Dipankar. Arun sir, all yours now. You can unmute yourself.
Dada, thank you very much for this session. Some quick points. I will not go for admiration or appreciation. You have already got more than enough. And there will be many more coming on the group after the session is over. Number one, Dipankar da talked about the media.
Yeah.
From 1978 to 1998, an ex-IITian Achin Vanayak, who was in the journalism, he wrote extensively on Panchayat system. In last 20 years, I would say, or 15 years, I have not seen many articles in the national newspapers, but the local ones, as you say, Amrit Bazar Patrika, Telegraph, Prabhat Khabar, they have been publishing articles on Panchayat, which I have read, number one. But number two, I would totally agree with Arvind Jha when he says each line of yours, like the NCERT books, contain an entire chapter. So all those who are really interested, they should wait after your one line is over and think about it. That one line is probably entire chapter, if not the book. Now, number three, sir. Since you are the person, as Ashutosh said, has dirtied his hands doing the work, I had 8 questions before your session started, and you have answered all 8 of them, except perhaps mentioning Tripura. Means in my experience, around 3-4 years back or 5 years back, I used to visit Tripura. I visited 3 or 4 times. I found the Panchayat system at the local level almost as good. Good means under the limitations as Bengal or Kerala. Yes. So I don't. What I am trying to say is this, sir. There has been a huge, what they call palayan, from states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh. So there are not many educated people who staying there. But places like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, there because of the unemployment, a slightly positive thing which I am seeing, and I'm expecting you maybe to work on it if you can, that the people who are educated, they have not got jobs, they are in large number, they have not left the villages.
Yes.
So like the girls you talked about in Rajasthan, I am absolutely certain that there are certain educated people who have not left the state, the villages. So hope your organization, and you are working with maybe 21 states or so, maybe can work on bringing the leadership in these people who are educated and who are still there inside the villages. Maybe I just loud thinking that you people like you who are working on them, you can see some hope there.
I'll tell you some point based on your issues that you mentioned about Tripura. I did not told you about these complications. India, there are certain areas which are Schedule 6 areas, which are tribal dominated. There, this act does not apply. There has to be more autonomy. There are tribal autonomous hill districts, autonomous councils. Tripura has two types of area, normal area, Schedule 5 area and Schedule 6 area, which are more tribal. So they have another system which is similar to Panchayat. And you mentioned three states, West Bengal, Kerala and Tripura. This strong Panchayat in these states are to some extent the commitment of the Communist Party for more decentralization of power. The entire thing in Tripura happened when CPIM was in power. And one of the leaders is very revered who really worked for this thing. And they really developed a very strong local government in Tripura in hill areas and outside hill areas. There's the only state where there's no difference between the local governance in hill areas and non-hill plain areas. In all other states which have both the types, autonomous local government and panchayat, there are a lot of difference like Nagaland, Mizoram, things like that. Nagaland, there is no normal panchayat or autonomous, fully Schedule 6 areas. Say Arunachal Pradesh, there are both. Similarly, a few Assam have both. So, but Tripura has done very well. The other thing, I'll tell an example. In other country, like I've seen in England, all the political parties have a cell to decide to work for, and they are paid to man this cell by the state government to know what their representatives are doing at what level. Or that means every political party, because whether you are allowed to be a contest with political symbol or not, all are behind some political party. They do not watch their people. They also do not try to build the system internally. What I'm trying to say, there are three stakeholders. One, the legislature, who has to legislate and develop a strong system and devolve more. Second, the political parties, within them devolution is very poor. Even many parties do not have good election within themselves because they do not believe in devolution. And on the other hand, I saw in England, they have their cell within political party who keep on watching what their local representatives are doing, what are their capacity gap, how they can be helped, what type of guidance they need. That's the political angle. Third is the people. So people should also own that this is my government. I should have a more watch. I should also see that I should also make them accountable to me. So weaknesses in all these three areas has led to this type of incomplete devolution. Okay.
So yeah, I have nothing more to say. I was just wondering if I work with you, if I get a chance, I would definitely work on these young men and women who are in the villages, they are educated, and probably they can be trained and promoted to start actively participating in the functioning of the panchayats.
Right, but the political party has to select her or him to represent them informally. Some states, there are two types of states. Some states competing the election with a symbol is allowed. Mostly the left-dominated states. In other states, it's apolitical. You cannot fight at the Gram Panchayat level with a party symbol. So, but it's all are nominated by political parties. Their brain has to be washed first that They do to some extent. Not that they are all fools. Some of them that do. Some of them are very good also. Overall, the flock is like that. But I found some political leaders with good vision try to develop the system. You will find all types of people in this type of middle.
Yeah, that's actually what I was saying. I'm sorry for taking some time. What I was hinting at was not essentially these young boys and girls contesting the elections. If they do good enough, what I was said, they could ask questions. They could
Yes.
they could raise
Participate
voices.
in the Gram Sabha. Participate in the Gram Sabha.
Gram Sabha.
Yes,
Yes,
that
sir.
is the strength of our panchayat, but Gram Sabha is not very strong many places.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think Saroda wanted to ask something.
Thanks. So what to ask Manab? I'm learning from him throughout my life. In university, it was electronics. In the work life, I used to go to him. When he was in health, he was in this, that, Gram Panchayat. Just went to him. Whenever I visited Calcutta, I was not in Calcutta. So, specifically, I mean, he has done many places. I mean, apart from the Panchayat, rural development, health ministry, he was principal secretary health also. So he has many resources and many multifarious angles of interaction with the people. So his experience is a little bit multipolarized. So he can comment better and tell us better on many subjects. But I am restricted to the Panchayat system. One of question one is the Panchayat, some states elect politically, some states elect non-politically, but that's why I was actually political.
Yes, absolutely.
And now, question is there any provision or can there be any provision in such rules that, okay, you have 10 seats, 3 or 4 should be an unanimous decision of, or maybe more than 60-70% of all the village people, whoever is casting vote or something. Yeah, these are the nominated people. They're good people, knowledgeable people.
Who
Known to be
decide on
apolitical,
that? Who decide on that? That is a problem.
Panchayat Raj Act. It has to come from Delhi and then state. It is a state subject. So then again it has to come from the state and ratified from the state. Is there any possibility? So at least 2 or 3 good people, because political people are coming and going.
They can be participating in the Gram Sabha. They can be elected. They can be, their services can be used. But, in a democratic setup, it does not fit in.
Yeah, but which culvert will be done and which bunding will be done, they cannot. Despite
Yes,
all
they can.
goodwill.
I'll tell you a practice in Kerala. In every panchayat, they have working group of different subject. Kerala is a state where you have many retired people because their retirement is still 58, elevated from 56. So many professionals, they live in their village. It's almost like a continuum town. So they participate in different working groups. When they plan, there are engineers, there are social scientists, there are other people. Many of them are retired persons. They do participate and advise the panchayat. So you have both the sides. The panchayat should be willing to take that support, and there should be people to extend that support. So it's just the opposite of Bihar, where actually the Palayan is a big issue. And Kerala, it is just the opposite. They go and settle in their area, their own village.
Kerala is a continuous town.
Yeah, but you have lots of professionals available and who does voluntary work, but not in other states that much.
The whole state is a continuous mofussil town with some cities.
Yeah,
that's how.
Issue is that there are professionals available who are quite energetic, knowledgeable. They are part of working groups.
That is not possible to be done.
The point you are saying, they help the panchayats to come up with good plans. I'll tell you, an example I'll tell you. We were trying to make one Gram Panchayat of Sundarban carbon neutral. We are studying and trying to get it. Who has done it? We found, I've talked to them also recently, one Gram Panchayat in Wayanad have done it a couple of years ago with lot of support from country, outside the country, how to assess the total carbon emission of a Gram Panchayat and total carbon sequestration to know what is your balance sheet, how much carbon you are contributing should brought down to zero. So it is possible in Kerala. The type of personnel they could mobilize locally is a Gram Panchayat called Minangadi in Wayanad. So they could do it because they are the resource they have.
Just
Yeah.
a small interjection, Roida Manavda, to
Yes.
Sharda Mukherjee, to Sharda Babu. Question is, number one, is there a rule by which they can be nominated? So you answered, question is who will nominate them? Sharda Babu, what you are suggesting is a Rajya Sabha, where there is a provision of nomination, but we all know the political parties who nominate such people, what Rajya Sabha has become. So nomination itself is not a very
It's not a solution.
no,
We
no,
have
they
many
have to.
film stars who do not know what to do there. They are all MPs. They are Lok Sabha. They have come to Lok Sabha.
They are naming that. They are naming them. I was asking that is there a provision?
No,
Leave it to the
in a
village people.
democratic setup, you cannot make them a
Okay.
elected
Okay.
person, but they can help
Yeah.
from outside. Absolutely.
Okay. If they are available, so which is not
Yes.
possible.
And if they are
in a-
accepted, both are true.
So in Bengal or Rajasthan or MP, it is not possible physically. Even not in Maharashtra. Day
Bengal,
before
because of
yesterday.
political reasons, people are available. For political reasons, they will not be
That's
accepted.
what that's what I'm saying, sir. That's what Times of India Pune edition was carrying a picture of 6 gentlemen yesterday, all wearing pagdi and have garlanded, all in white dresses. They're taking oath. Taking oath what? Taking oath as the uh, village level the election. They have been elected and they're taking oath at various posts. And who are they? They are the husbands or the fathers of the ladies. So basically, they attend this and newspaper reports that the government has come from the report. Government has come to know and they have ordered police inquiry. And knowing Maharashtra, nothing will happen. Achha, my second question, following the first, is that if that is not possible, then the women empowerment in actually exerting themselves in the villages, that was the purpose. 33%, then up to 50%. It is not really. It is not visible up to now, and it might do a lot of good, because they handle day-to-day problems.
Yes.
So now, some countries there have been very drastic actions, like it's a cultural revolution. So that then states intervenes in the family. Example is Russia, China.
Yes.
And that did huge upheavals, social upheavals, and they empowered by lot. But there has been serious cases, family disturbances, deaths, this, that. It is a social upheaval. So if that is not possible, because has to be a leader who forces it, if that is not possible, what other ways to change the fabric? Because the state has to intervene in the family. Otherwise, it will not happen. Is there a way to do it?
Actually, there's no shortcut for doing this. You have to act on many fronts. One is the gender disparity. So many of the empowerment related issues of women are because lack of material resources, lack of power within the family, and lack and a strong prescription of what women can do and what women cannot do. And this is one component, the social prescription related to women. Other is in general their level of literacy is low, and training, their ability to attend training, because they are burdened with family job, with child care or care services. So their participation in training also has to improve by some way. If they cannot come and attend training, the trainer has to go and train them at the local level. So that is possible. In fact, we developed all our block offices to also have a training hall, and all Gram Panchayats are told to have a hall where the trainer will go and train them. It is not really classroom-based training. It will be sort of mentoring. The trainers go to the Gram Panchayat, sit with the elected member and talk to them. As you make things more transparent, more known to others, and more visible, then these evil forces take a backseat. But if it is happening without anyone's knowledge, and nobody is seeing in a family how the wife is being treated, that will continue. The moment the entire para knows that this lady has been maltreated, there will be a response from outside. So bringing transparency in functioning of this panchayat and very strong system of mentoring, of training them right in situ, that can give some help to really advance them. And also documenting good case stories. The Panchayat department is doing it, all these things. Not that nothing is happening, but our system is so heavily in favor of the traditional thing.
Understood.
To take that forward is very difficult. One critical case is child marriage, marriage of girls. It's not budging much. In spite of everything, the percentage of girls who are getting married before the age of 18 is still whoopingly high in many states, more than 1/3.
The third question is, so, I mean, there is a social or moral intervention required, but government ministry cannot do it, and NGOs are good and bad and all.
Nowhere.
I have worked.
NGO can create impact in a small pilot. Not its
I have also worked with Bandhan and Bengal village little bit. Whatever, let that be precise. So, if that intervention has to be at least the local village, at the local village, unless you have an NGO which is suspect. In my mind, they are suspect. So, what is the enabling? Let us say capability development. As it says, capability decides. Capability decides how much you give everything, but how much they will accept the capability.
Many panchayats work with the Gram Panchayat, but that working is related to certain themes, maybe working for the health of the people, maybe for education. What is needed is institutional development, to correcting the institution of governance. That is difficult. Even NGOs may not have that much of capacity to understand governance in a big way. Key issue is governance. Key issue is transparency. Key issues are different components of good governance. Transparency, accountability, efficiency, responsiveness, timeliness. These are many issues on good governance that requires a lot of institutional correction, which also require much capacity and resources. That is what is necessary.
I use you influence lots of state governments to have the Panchayat level ministries and all have in between like a capability development vehicle somewhere, somehow. In rural business, we have been the bankers to the government. No, we have faced it again and again and again. The third question is, if the Bihar model of local deliverance of justice at the village level at a very cheap cost, and maybe 70-80% cases results are petty cases.
Yes, these are petty cases only. Yeah,
petty cases only. But if this is something going on for maybe 30 years, 40 years, so how and what will help us to, let us say, reduce the reaches of the Khap panchayats or so in the Jat areas? They're the similar but opposite.
Yes.
They're similar and force. So what to do? What is your opinion?
No, it first requires good political consensus. Actually, democracy runs on cooperation and conflict of ideas. In any democratic setup, so all political parties, they must cooperate with each other for a greater cause, and there should be conflict of ideas can be settled democratically. We do not have such political scenario in most states. There are loggerheads for nothing, and against whom they are fighting, maybe after a month they will join that camp, then fighting in a different language. So in this really is a very sorry state of affairs. Actually, democracy, we do not have situation to have a good democracy.
That is
on
the
problem.
Ground.
That's true. That's true in not only Bengal, many states.
And our education towards that is not adequate.
Our
not
grooming
adequate.
of the children also not towards that type of education. That
not like
walking
England,
together.
Switzerland.
Yes.
Not
It's
like
different.
England, Switzerland, nothing.
No.
Okay.
No. We are not grooming our
way.
children in that way, or next generation in that way. We are asking whether educating them not to fight with each other and get the best post, best thing. We are not asking them to cooperate. We are only teaching them to competition.
Yeah, exactly.
And excel by all means, by fair, unfair, every means.
Exactly. Most of that happens. Okay, thank you. I mean, if I go on asking Manab, it will be lifelong.
Okay,
but
keep on.
thanks
No
thanks to Arun Roy, I asked Manab, what do you do? He said, what God gets done through me, I do. And he has been doing. So he has never time to to sit down at one place and answer you. That has been the average interaction between him and me. So lucky that he could spend some time, but he has so much exposure. If he has time, he can talk of maybe health, maybe rural economy, how it can rejuvenate the transfer to the, rural population
We
to
work on a lot on
towns
water
can-
sector. Water is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
huge
yeah, yeah.
sector.
Yeah. I remember I once had a discussion with him. He was maybe in the Fairley Place office. And
Oh, long ago.
long ago, all the time. He is in various places of him. I used to, when I visited Calcutta, I went to him and saluted. So there we had a discussion. I was in State Bank, and he told me that in West Bengal's case, the rural migration to towns, that ratio is actually below 1. So actually, rural people do not really go to settle for livelihood in towns anymore. So that was an excellent empowerment of villages. And how that can be done more and more and more, maybe a good idea. And it will call for more of Panchayat administrations. Maybe
Yes.
some other time I will ask Manab here in the group or specifically, so that Mr. Roy can collect all that and send to him. Okay, I have to stop here. Thank you so much.
Ashutosh, you can take it over from now. I had promised Manabda, who follows a very strict daily routine, that we shall let him free by 9 o'clock or so. So Ashutosh, you may sum it up. And Roy, Manabda, when you are in Maharashtra next, please let me know a big.
I don't know. I had to go to Pune, but I had to send a junior officer. We are making a presentation to their education ministry in Pune.
So whenever you are in Maharashtra, let me know. I shall come and meet you wherever you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Ashutosh.
Arunji, Ashutosh had to leave. And what we'll have to do now that everyone will have to leave.
No, nothing. Then we can. I can just profusely thank Manabda on everybody who is present here, everybody in the group of learning together, and all those who will watch the video. Sir, it was a huge gratitude with which I am signing off, sir. Thank you very much, Manabda.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving the chance to talk something.
Thank you, Manab, for talking with such a short notice.
Yes, and thanks to Dipankar for bringing this subject.
On.
Okay.
Yes.
Last line, without thanking Dipankar, the session should not end. It is he who is solely responsible for we having Manabda. Thank you, Dipankar. Thank you, Manabda. Thank you all.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
all.
Thank you. Okay. Good night.
Yes,
I am
good night.
taking leave then. Bye.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.